one episode of Taste Buds. I'm Sinan.
And I'm Ralph.
And this is our very special Panama edition of Taste Buds. Today we're going to be making patacones, or in other words, fried plantains. Now the kind of plantains you want to get are green plantains, because green plantains are the best for deep frying. Now there are two other kinds of plantains, the black kind, which is very sweet and mainly used for desserts, and there are the yellow kind with brown spots, which is good for fried, but only not deep fried, and you can also mash the yellow ones. Now, what you want to do first is heat up vegetable oil in a pot. So, alright. Now there's no exact measurement for the oil because it depends on the pot itself. But what's going to happen is the plantain, when we cut them up, are going to be completely submerged in the oil. Now, we're going to let that heat up as we cut up the plantains.
Yes.
To begin cutting up the plantains, I find it easier if you cut off the ends first, like that. Slice it down the middle. If you slice into the plantain, that's okay. So you want to make that slice and start peeling it open. Oh,
yeah, I'll do that.
If you need to cut it more, you can just go for it. Each plantain is gonna serve 2 people. So you can have as many plantains as you want according to how many people you need to serve. Now, as the oil heats up, I'm going to explain the different kinds of oil you can use to fry the plantains. I'm using vegetable oil because it's not very dense and it doesn't produce any fumes when you cook it, but it still cooks a plantain very fast, which is what we're looking for. You can use other types of oil, canola oil, which is also very not dense. If you use olive oil, however, it may be healthier.
My favorite, of
Your
course.
favorite? Well, you're Italian.
Yeah, well.
It's very dense and it produces a lot of fumes because it burns very quickly, although it may be a little healthier. If you can figure out a way to use the olive oil and not burn it, go ahead. That's why we're using vegetable oil. It's very easy to cook plantains. As you see, Ralph is actually having some trouble because these plantains are imported directly from Costa Rica, and what happens is they lose their freshness and the skin starts to stick to the inner plantain, which is okay. It doesn't affect the taste. It's just a lot harder to peel. And Ralph is getting there, which is good.
Yep.
What we're gonna do with the plantain after he finishes, we're gonna cut it up into little pieces, and we're gonna fry them in the vegetable oil. You can use a knife. When you open the skin, you're gonna see brown spots. You may see brown spots in the plantain. That's okay. That's just what happens as the plantains age. It doesn't affect anything at all. Alright. So Ralph is finishing up.
Slowly but steadily.
Exactly. Alright, that's good. Now what we want to do is cut it into little bite-sized pieces. What we're going to do later is mash these up. So that's why it's important to make these a little thick so that when you mash them, they're going to become nice and thin. Alright, what we're going to do now is place these little bits into the vegetable oil. And then what you want to make sure with the oil is that it's not going to boil, it just has to be hot. And the way to test that it's ready is to cut off a little piece, put in the oil. If you see that it starts to sizzle, that means the oil is heated up and ready to go. We're going to put all those pieces in the vegetable oil, Ralph.
Yep.
You want to be very careful because the oil will splatter and you don't want to burn yourself. That's why we use pots normally, so that it doesn't splatter too much. If you want to use some tongs, that's okay. Now what you want to do is you want to let these cook for about a minute. They're going to feel rock hard. That's what they're supposed to feel like. After about a minute, you're going to want to take the plantains out of the oil. In between fryings, we're going to have to mash them up and add salt. To mash the plantains, I'm going to be using something called a mortar. I bought this in Panama for about $1 off a street vendor, but you can use whatever you want to mash the plantains. I used to use a rock when I lived in a village, and I think using wood is more hygienic, so that's why I bought it. So, yeah, so you're gonna bring them back to the counter, please, Ralph.
Yep.
And we're gonna mash them up. Alright, good. Thank you. Be careful, they're still hot. Now, there are different ways to mash them. Some people just put them on and just press until they get mashed, just like that. Some people hit it. You can use whatever you find easier for you. I normally just press down. Now what's going to happen is the sides are going to split open and the insides are going to come out. That's what we want, because we want the insides to be exposed to the hot oil so that they will fry when we put them back in the oil, which is what we're going to do after I finish mashing all of them. I cut that one a little big, but that's okay. Here, we'll just actually make that a mini patacone. Now sometimes you're gonna mess up mashing like I just did and you're gonna get that. If you wanna refry it, you can go for it, but I'm not gonna. All right. Now, before you fry them,
that one.
for the second time, you're gonna add salt to them. I have a block of salt. What you wanna do is you wanna make sure that you see the grains of salt, because some of them are gonna leave as you put them back in the oil, so you wanna make sure there's a lot on there. Okay, we're gonna refry this one, even though it got messed up a little.
Inside out, like you said.
Inside, yep. All right, so we're gonna put those back into the oil. If you want to be careful, you can use tongs if you need to avoid burning yourself. So after these have fried again for about a minute or two, they're gonna be very yellow still. And now you can, Ralph, if you don't mind, put them on a paper towel to cool off, because they're gonna be very hot. Obviously, you've just fried them in hot vegetable oil. Now, if you're feeling a little health conscious after deep frying plantains, what I like to do is pat the patacones with another paper towel, get the excess oil off. Because really, what gives the most fat out of the patacones is the excess oil that's dripping as you take it out of the vegetable oil. It's not necessarily what's in the patacones, it's just what's left, the residue of the oil. Now you can still see there is still salt on these, which is good, because patacones are supposed to be a very salty treat. Now after taking the oil off, try one.
Let's dig in.
I want to see if you still need some salt.
Wow.
I think a little salt.
It'd be good.
Yeah. Now, if you can see, the insides have fried, which is what gives it a very crispy taste. You can add salt if you really need to. That's what's good about these. You can just add salt whenever you need. All right. Thank you for joining us on our Panama edition of Taste Buds, episode 4. I'm Sinan.
And I'm Ralph.
Adios.
Oh, ciao.
It's Italian.
I'm Bulgarian.
I'm not Bulgarian.
No, it is Bulgarian.
Oh, I was like, you're not Bulgarian.
Wow. Just tastes like a French fry.
French fries.
I'm serious. Wow.